Good evening, guys. It's not Suds Up, but there is me, Mr. B, my partner in crime, OMONDI, and also Roy Rebel Kent. This Monday night, as I said, it's not the Man United agenda, but we've got a few things to discuss. It be not being Studs Up, we won't be going in too hard. We'll have a little discussion on a few things, mainly Gary Neville's podcast and Rangnick's comments about the team for tomorrow. Monday night, obviously Solo's not here, so we all know what he's doing, it being February the 14th. But Solo, you do what you have to do to keep your house happy.
He's a lover, not a fighter. You know? We're here fighting the cause, and he's there doing his loving thing.
Loving his cause, yeah. Look, I'm not sure that I'm allowed to say, but you know how it is. You know how it is. Welcome, guys in the comments. It is us. It is Monday, and we are here on the Man United agenda. We're gonna pop it down. You're looking very handsome today, Rebel.
Good evening. Yes. I have to say, given what's going to be coming up, I said I'd keep the Roy Kent persona for one more show because it is actually quite after what we'll be talking about later on. But I do want to throw something out to our wonderful viewers. There has been a story printed today surrounding Manchester United and appointments upstairs once again, that we are going to appoint a second in command to the director of football. Now, I found this interesting because the title of director of football is actually not in the Manchester United hierarchy at the moment. What Murta holds is a different role, and Darren Fletcher is not director of football. So have they let the cat out of the bag in regards to Ralph? Maybe, who knows? But they are actively looking for somebody to share the burden of the organisation of the football business at the moment. So I want to know what our viewers think of additional changes upstairs, and is there something to be read into the fact that it does say second to the director of football?
I don't understand the structure. So there's obviously a structure in most football clubs. So at the moment, you're saying there's a void in that as a director of football. Is that what you're saying?
Yes. Basically, Murta's role is technical director of football development or something along those lines. And then Fletcher then has some sort of a juniored up version of that then below him. But this job title that is believed to be advertised is assistant to the director of football.
I wonder how much they're advertising it for. And where would I find it in The Guardian or online? I want to apply. Where do you play?
Do you know what? I think you'd be a perfect man for the job. You know, you'd go in, you'd blow them all about, go 2-footed, throw them out. Here, I tell you what, if you get the job, give Edward one big clatter across the face and we'll all be happy.
I say that's from Roy Kent, the mild-mannered reporter.
But I just found it interesting, the language that was used in the position, and could something have been read into it regarding what Ralph's actual future consultancy role is going to be. But I tell you what though, last night I watched the Super Bowl and the winners were the Rams, who the owners also own Arsenal football, the Kroenkes. And I just remember thinking, these people, like the Glazers, also own a football club. And the differences in the way that they've structured their American clubs and their Irish clubs, their Premier League clubs, is like chalk and cheese. And the levels of investment that Tampa Bay, for example, put in last year, they brought Tom Brady, Rob Gronkowski, they brought stars with the direct mission of winning the Super Bowl. And I was thinking, when we signed who we did this season, that our mission was to win the Premier League title. And we couldn't be further away from it as things turned out. But that does lead to what OMONDI and yourself are going to bring up as our juicy conversation piece.
Oh, leaks. A club is full of leaks. Look, Gary Neville said a couple of things today, or stroke yesterday, mentioning obviously he knows who the mole is in the club. I just want to hear you guys' opinion on that, to be honest. I can start with you, Rebel, because I know you've got some direct quotes there, and then on Monday you can jump in afterwards.
So basically, this is around a Sky Sports podcast, the Gary Neville podcast that he does for his role in Sky Sports. And they were talking about the show where this character, Roy Kent, who's obviously a play on Roy Keane, came from. It's a show called Ted Lasso. He's an American football coach that came over to the Premier League to manage a club. And it's about the trials and tribulations of that character. And he's believed to be a bit of a spoofer, a bit of a Jack the Lad, doesn't really know much about what he's talking about, and goes on to bumble his way through the season. So Gary goes on to say he didn't find it funny at all, the likeness. He thought it was disrespectful. He thought it was disgusting, in fact, and it summed up what he thinks of that group of players. Now, he went on to tell us about how he understands why these things are happening. It's all surrounding agents and protecting their assets and the value of that asset and the wages that they hope to command and signing on bonuses that they hope to command. So they are going out, and he mentioned a Champions League game that Andre Villas-Boas took charge of where Lampard was dropped. And Lampard leaked the team news. Lampard's agent is believed to have leaked the team news, the tactics, etc., and basically said, yeah, my client isn't playing. And these journalists that receive this information naturally come back and look for input from the former players, now turned journalists come pundits. So Gary Neville has been told he knows exactly who's spilling the guts and the glory at Manchester United. And my humble opinion is that it's become Mayfain or me over the club.
You know what? First of all, I want to say, if that's the kind of thing that goes on, it's kind of spiteful, isn't it? To do that kind of thing, you know? And it's kind of like flexing your muscles in a way where you shouldn't really be. For me, like, when I heard about the show and heard about the comments from Gary Neville, I went and done a little bit of research, and it just doesn't correspond, because this is football whistleblowing, as you call it. So I wanted to know, what is the intention? What is the intention of someone doing this? What do they hope to achieve, and that kind of thing? So the definition of whistleblowing is a term used when a worker passes on information concerning wrongdoing and making a disclosure. And whistleblowing is usually for misconduct. But here, whistleblowing is about teasing an American coach. It's a bit like Yankee Connor coming on our show and people not thinking he's credible because he's got an American accent, kind of thing. That's what I'm thinking here. When Connor clearly knows what he's talking about, but because he has an American accent. Or if I went over to, it's like Rebel talking on NFL last night. You know, the Americans might think, what do you know with your Irish accent, that kind of thing. So it's obviously they're making fun of this guy, the coach, on the training ground, if that's what appears to be coming out. And I think that's really stupid and childish. And it needs, as Gary Neville said, I do agree. It's like, come on now, you need to show a lot more respect. Was it last week they were talking about, they were complaining about 11 versus 11 games? And they first the games. And think, if they know so much better, I mean, come on. What's the point in having a coach? Coach is there to do the job.
Okay, look, I'm going to put a twist on this. Don't you think they could be maybe not leaking the news, but saying it to a mate in a conversation? All right, it might be the same mate that's telling everybody else, but to try and make things better, not make things worse. Because at the moment, we all think a mole is going to be wanting to cause trouble or wanting to cause an issue. Do you think maybe that whoever it is saying it to try and make the club a better place, or do you actually specifically think that it's just selfish?
Do you know?
Go on, Rebel Kiek.
I think, I suppose we led with the title of whistleblowing, and if it was for the benefit of the club and to enhance the profile of the club to actually fix problems, then yes. But it seems that we're in a kind of a space where it's kind of a WikiLeaks type effort, where we're trying to basically discredit certain functions, and it is kind of disheartening that because I don't think that there's a mate situation here, because if the assertion is that it's the utilization of agents, then it is completely and utterly selfish for their own personal gain.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with that. I do think that initially what Gary Neville said about the players' agents and that kind of thing, how using the media influence to sort of benefit them. It's like self-preservation sometimes, that kind of thing. It's not good. When I thought about leaks, it's like when you talk about misconduct, I refer back to Salazar, the Mo Farah trainer. He got banned because there's investigation done for anti-doping, that kind of thing, and that's misconduct. And then he was banned for 4 years. He wasn't allowed to train anyone. And suddenly Mo Farah distanced himself from him, and that's something you say, okay, that's fair enough. And the people that leaked the information, they were scared. They came out. Some of them, they said, well, when we used to work with him, this is what he did, A, B, and C. And then sometimes you don't always get the backing. So sometimes you are reporting something which you think is bad going on within the club. You want to have that protection there to say, am I going to be all right if I leak this for the benefit of good? But I feel it's not the benefit of good, it's the benefit of spite in some way.
Okay.
So it's a different kind of intention. It's about your intention, isn't it? So obviously, when you compare the Salazar's case, the people were doing it for the benefit of good, saying, look, this guy's obviously getting his athletes to cheat. That's why people are winning Olympic gold medals and all that kind of thing. And it's not good for the sport. But we're referring to someone teasing the players about training. The coach sounds American. Oh, he can't be credible. And we're going to tease him and say he's not good enough. That's child's play, isn't it? That's just stupid.
I just wanted to throw it out there. That's all. I just wanted to make sure that we were all on the same page. That's all. Sorry, what is he going to say, Rebel? I cut you off there.
Yeah, no, but the other rumor that's out there is that they're literally trying to pick the next manager of Manchester United, the players that are at the centre of this situation. The rumor is that they want Pochettino. As to the who and the why of that is another question entirely. But you'd wonder, is it that they're now looking at a situation that at their particular point in their career, they're being asked to restructure themselves, to come up to a new tempo, to a new level, to a new style of play. And frankly, they're so pampered that they don't want to. That is part of what is being looked at in this situation.
I agree with that. I mean, what I don't know, or what I hope it hasn't been. Obviously, systems are different. Managers have different trading methods. Managers want different energy levels from the players. They had 2.5 years of Ollie, which was a counter attack. So I'm going to assume, in my limited football wisdom, that you're going to need higher energy levels to do a pressing game. So for 3 years, they haven't had to do that. And under Jose again, that wasn't Jose's style. So it's going to take longer than the 11 weeks that Rangnick's been here to get them up to that level. Now, if the next manager isn't a pressing manager, then there's issues again. Is it a style thing now where they want to become a high press team, and that's what's going to be done throughout the club? Maybe not throughout the club, but certain levels of the club. Or is it going to be a thing where they train the first team training this way, the reserves training this way? It has to be something that the club has to decide. And that's why I do hope that Rangnick actually stays. Because as he said in his press conference, we'll drift onto that in a minute. But he did mention little things improving.
Yeah. Look, I'm not a top footballer earning big money. I just have my job, and in my job, so say if I've been in my job for 16 years, and in my job we've got a system what we use to put data on and that kind of thing. And recently they changed it. They said, "Oh, we got a new system you all have to learn." And I was a master of the old system. I was comfortable. I was able to do it perfectly well. And suddenly I had to do retrain to this new system, and I got stubborn. I threw my toys at the pram and I let all the other staff do it. And then I got to the point where I didn't know how to use the new system, and I was kicking back and not doing my work correctly. And I was asking everyone else, "Oh, how do you do this? How do you do that?" Because I got stubborn. And I refused to do it. But it turns out this new system is good, and it helps. It's easier. It makes my life easier at work. But I was too stubborn for change, and that's immaturity and thing. I should have done that because my performance is better now based on the new system. So you have to update and adapt. Also, I've got a friend who's a mechanic, and his garage has just recently been taken over by a big organization, not going to name them. And they've come in and they put new systems in place. And he's like, "I'm old school, I don't want to do this." And he's left and he's had enough of it. And I asked him about it. He said, "Oh, they put a new system in. I don't want to do that. It's rubbish. It's not practical," all that kind of thing. So people don't like change. When you get comfortable in certain things, we don't like to change things. And I think that applies. It's the same philosophy kind of applies for what's happening with the players at Man United. A lot of them are comfortable. When you come in and try to incorporate something new, oh God, and muttering and that kind of thing. And then if you find something you want to take the mickey out of, maybe his accent or whatever, then it becomes the running joke. And then it breeds contempt against the whole management, everything else. And everyone likes to bitch about their bosses. Don't deny them. I'm sure we all here bitch about our boss all the time. And then when the boss comes in and makes a joke, it's so funny, everything else. But we all do it, so it's just human nature. But I don't like it because, like I say, it just breeds contempt. And that's the last thing we want to be talking about here. We want to be talking about winning games and improvement and that kind of thing. So get a grip, guys. This is immature, and you need to cut that out, or else you get into tension.
And you know what, Monday, you actually raised a very good point. But this is not anything new. We all remember the secret footballer articles that were published every now and again in the papers on a Sunday. There has been leaks, and this has been a tactic that's been used for a long, long time. And I suppose one area that nobody is casting aspersion on is, I would presume that all the executives have their own representatives, their own agents, and maybe it could be possible that it could suit them to put out certain leaks because it detracts from the situation of their running of the club, what they are doing, and the eyeballs being put on them.
That's a good point. That's a good point. So everyone's got an agenda here, which suits their team, whoever they're representing. So yeah, that makes a lot of sense to me. It does make sense, and it's hard for me. Me, guys. It's hard for me to make a lot of sense of this. That's why I'm glad to have you two on the show, especially Rebel. With Rebel, you seem to be able to understand the mechanics of how all this hierarchy things work. But that really, that kind of makes sense. It's in people have to look after their own interests. But I think there's too many people around football and footballers now, agents, PR guys, I don't know what other thing, but footballers do have a lot of people.
Hangers on.
Yeah, entourage. They're on their whole entourage, and they all want to get paid, and they all want the best for themselves, really, initially. So yeah, enough of that, guys. Behave yourselves.
Speaking of getting paid, when Solo giving us our money for coming on the show?
we'll be lucky. Yeah, he spent it all on bloody flowers, didn't he? not even a chocolate for the man there. But it's all right, Solo. It's all right. We'll see you all tomorrow.
He said, but one thing, guys, you can help us out here. Solo said, if we get 50 likes today, he will start paying us. So can we press that button, please? I'm just going to go through a few of the comments here because there's a lot of discussion here as well. We'll say hi to Brush. I haven't seen you for ages, Brush. Where you been, man? Welcome back, by the way. Talking Muse in the house. Everyone's saying good evening here. Saragon, how you doing, man? Saragon, he's having a laugh here. It's Valentine's Day. And he said Solo is Mr. Lover Man, like Shabba Ranks. He's Jamaican. Going back to Connor, he said talking about Van der Sar, and he's saying if we need a second in command, demote them both and bring in Van der Sar because he thinks Van der Sar as director of football would be a great appointment. And he also says that if I did apply for the job, I would double Maguire's contract.
He's right.
Yeah. So coming on to more recent thing, got Mark Edmund in the house all the way from Australia again. He's talking about the moles in the club. If they do get discovered, he doesn't want them to ever play for the club again. And Ole, how you doing, Ole? Liverpool fans, it's cheaper to remove Ralph than question players. He's having a laugh there. Whistleblowing, it's loose lips that sinks ships. I really like his comment from Saragon. Saragon, big up, man. I read this earlier. I was thinking, I need to come back to this one. Said, this isn't whistleblowing, it's loose lips that sinks ships. Self-indulgence by players with misplaced self-confidence. Wow. Do you guys like that one?
Yeah,
the word.
Bloody hell, that's deep, boy.
UK Strains is in the house. How you doing, UK Strains? He's interesting here. He says, I find it strange we keep talking about getting top 4 in Champions League football, but we're already in the Champions League this season. I don't think the club cares about winning it anymore. That's a really good point. Is it just about top 4 and getting in the Champions League? Akil is in the house as well. The issue is not the players. The issue is not that the players joke about the coach, but that it's coming out of the club. Okay, good shout. And it's not an isolated incident. It's a leak after leak after leak, just like our roof at the stadium. Just like, God, I said that before I even read it. Yeah, yeah, that's what you did say. We're same page. Yeah, agree with you. Who else is in the house? Annie Herbert brings a bit of humour. Says, my missus said Valentine's Day. Saragon says, can you fix my beamer, Monday? Need a new weather strip for my sunroof. And
can I just pick up one actually?
Bitching about the boss in private is fine. Going to the media is unprofessional and damaging to the club. Should be sacked. Okay.
It's actually that one I was just going to pick up because he followed up with the team leaking has been going on for years. And the first one I actually remember was, and I think the two of you will remember this one as well, is the infamous flying boot, where that happened in the confines.
Yeah. True.
See,
how did that come out? Because he had a black eye, clearly. He's not going to wear makeup. Well, maybe he does wear makeup, but I think it was a picture of his black eye, and then it's
picture of the stickers above his eye. He flicked his hair back, didn't he?
He had he wore a headband for the first time ever to keep the hair back, so that the bandage would be shown over his eye.
Very slick that by. Yeah. What about the? Sorry, there was another thing about when Roy Keane fell out because he gave it. It was critical of the players or something in a video. Do you remember that story about?
That was before he went to Celtic.
That's when Fergie got rid of him after that, didn't he?
Yeah. So was that a leak? That actually leaked out from the club, didn't that story? Was that?
Well, they probably had to give the reason why they were releasing Roy Keane. So the truth.
Okay.
Yeah,
fair enough,
he went in there winning. I mean, look, his levels, he's standard again. It's a level thing. His standards were so high that anybody who dropped below that was getting a booting. You know, right. we're talking about bootings. We're talking about, old time. Let's move on to Ralph Rangnick and his press conference today. I'm so look. There was various bits to it. I would have gone to my happy bit. The fact that the way he was talking in glowing terms about Jadon Sancho,
yes,
has put a smile on my face, man. I'm not saying that he's proved his price tag, or he whatever we paid for him is cheap, but he seems to be now the player who you can look at and say, yeah, you're expecting him to do things every week. I'm expecting him to do this every week. I'm expecting him. He's now playing more like the Jadon Sancho that I used to see at Dortmund, and the fact that Rangnick is highlighting that's put a big smile on my face, man. I know you're a Sancho fan.
Yeah, I have a few quotes actually to feed in from that press conference about Sancho. If you want to feed off those for the conversation, he says he knew Jadon since he was 17. He tried to convince him to join him at Leipzig, but he ended up at Dortmund. He became one of the best wingers in Germany, if not Europe. The step to a club like Manchester was a big one for a 21-year-old. The style of football we want to play fits his assets perfectly. I give him my support. I tell him to have a go. The same happened with other players. The same will hopefully happen with players like Marcus in the coming weeks.
That's Sancho, UK Strange. I like that. I'll use that one. Showtime. Yeah. Just add to I listened to the press conference today, and it's really like I'm with Mr. B and yourself, Rebel. I like him big because he really encourages players. If I was Sancho hearing that, I'd be thinking, yeah, man, this is good because his form is really on the up at the moment. Obviously, everyone's criticizing. Oh, 77 million. I hear someone the other day, an Arsenal fan, comparing him to Pepe. I mean, Sancho was at Dortmund. He had the numbers, he had the assists, and he was a shining light. And I think coming into Man United, this is what I'm saying. Is the Premiership? Is this the hierarchy now? Do we have to up his game or anything like that? I think he's still a great player. I just think, like say, we just have to. The team has to adapt. He has to adapt, and we've seen in the last few games he's really improving. One thing that stood out for me because sometimes I think Ralph is really clever, and sometimes I might read into certain things too much about what he says, but I can't think you can deny this one, boys. He said, "Come in," and as Mr. Kent was saying just now with the statement, he also said he does all this coming from the left-hand side.
You heard it as a yes. Listen, I've got it written down.
What's this? You know, because everyone was saying, "Oh, we need the right winger," and all this kind of thing. I said, "Yeah, he can play from the right. He's good. He can play from the right." But Ralph specifically said, coming in from the left-hand side. And where did he play the other day? Even though they mix it up sometimes. Rashford's been playing from the right a lot of the time. Obviously, he had an assist on over the weekend, was it Saturday at 12 o'clock? Yeah, at the weekend, he had an assist from the right. And that was good for him. He's got the pace. And you think to yourself, well, he can do a Kanchelskis, it's really push and go a lot of the time and sort of mix up. And he's got to learn to play from the right. But when he says things like that, playing in from the left-hand side, does that mean Ralph don't say that for no reason? I don't believe anyway. I don't think that's a slip of the tongue or I think he means that. I think it's true. Yeah. He can go both ways and pop it into feet, give and go. And he scored from the left. Didn't he score the other day from the left-hand side? Where he slotted it in. He got a little deflection. So, yeah. Are we starting to see the best of Sancho? Yeah. Is he better before on the left-hand side? If Ralph says it, then yeah, probably. Man. Sorry, Mr. B, you want to add?
No.
I'm going to pass the mic on the left-hand side. I say, tell about it.
But, you know, though, I think with Sancho, we were seeing that the style of play, we're utilising what he does best more. We've seen a number of players step up in the Ralph era. Diego Dallo, a player that I never believed in, is starting to turn my head and say, "What do you say about me, boy?" And he's saying, I can do this job on the right of the wing-back position. But personally speaking, Marcus, I don't like him on the right. He's always been better on the left. And if Sancho is going to be playing more from the left, then I think there could be a healthy competition there, which is good for Manchester United.
No, but listen. I'll let you finish. I've got an idea. I've got an idea.
I'm excited.
Listen,
but that does mean that we do need to pluck someone from our distinguished youth academy and possibly start giving them opportunities on the right if the plan is to have the two of them compete in the long term with Elanga for that left-hand position.
No, that's 3 on one side. I'm thinking, I know. I'm just going to throw something out there. Couldn't we play Rashford as a centre forward?
Well, we have played him there before, and we found that moving him out to the left made him more dynamic, more incisive, and caused more problems for defenses.
He can't get in on the left. Our Mr. Rangnick has blatantly whispered it to the whole world. He's not played on the left anymore. It's Jaden's side. So he now has to adapt to either up front. So I'm asking, would he be better on the right-hand side or would he be better up front?
Pass the Rashford on the right-hand side. I say, work him on the right. I'm with you, Mr. B. I think Rashford, not to say you can't, why can Sancho play on the left and the right? Because he's a gifted footballer. He knows he's intelligent enough to do what he can. All right, on the left-hand side, I keep saying, it's making me laugh now when I say on the left-hand side, like musical you. But on the left-hand side, you go inside, you go inside and go on the outside.
You've got them all singing it now, look.
It's the youth of the day. I went downtown to buy a keyboard.
No.
It's a judgment time. Anyway.
I'm going to have to restore order here. Order.
So playing from the right, I think Rashford, you can't make excuse. Oh, he can't play. I've heard a lot of people say recently, oh, he can't play on the right. He needs to adapt. I hear UK Strange. He said here, just this. He said he's got 5 years to improve. Talking about Rashford, to talk about Sancho. The same applies to Rashford. I think there's still improvement there. If you say you can't play on the right, then maybe he can learn to play on the right. He had an assist the other day. He's a threat. If you're playing on the right and you're fullback, you know he can go down the line. You have to go with him, or he can just hold it up and come inside. You know, that kind of thing. But he needs to learn to adapt to that position, especially like someone's been branded now left-hand side in Sancho from Ralph, the manager. So yeah, I think it's a good. It makes me happy to hear that, and it should make Sancho happy as well, because it endorses him and gives him that confidence, because he has been on a bit of a low since he's come in. He hasn't really. He's had a lot of criticism, you know.
Could I be so presumptuous as to throw in the next part of the press conference, because I have a few more quotes for the good people of the United Agenda family. He says in his press conference, the first halves in the last couple of weeks have been really good. We didn't concede a single goal. The next step is to stay focused physically, mentally, and tactically. We have given away goals too easy. The situation is pretty clear. In 11 of the 13 games since I took over, we have scored first, but we have not won them all. The last 3 games were very sad that we didn't win them. The players are getting ideas across the pitch. We need to do it for an entire game. This is the next step.
Yeah. Here's the stats, like you said there. So 11 out of the 13 games, we've scored the first goal, and we've only won half of them. But we've only lost 1 game, mind you, you know. The annoying thing for us and for Ralph, I imagine, because he was asked in the press conference about concentration, conceding, why are we doing that? And he wouldn't bury the players. He wouldn't bury himself anywhere. He's very poised when he answers these questions. So I really like. I think all of us should watch the press conference. It's really good how he, because it's like they fired the way media come at you sometimes. They're really looking to catch you out, but he's so thing, and the way, and I'm like, every time I'm applauding, saying great answer, you know. So the way he answers is really good, and it's like you just said, Rebel, with great said players are getting on board with the ideas. He mentioned about the amount of chances we're creating. He's always very positive about it. He never buries anybody properly, you know, like really badly, or buries his system, or sort of say, oh, in despair. He's always confident, and he's sticking with with what he knows and going with it, despite the media, because it's like a challenge, isn't it? Not only are we playing Brighton tomorrow, but he also has to face the media and play the media as well, and he's winning. He's scoring first, in my opinion, against the media.
I mean, Rebel, you know, on here, obviously, you're saying that the club, a lot of the things he was saying as well, there's a couple of questions that they asked him in the press conference. He was stating that these are things that need to be answered at the end of the season. I just feel that the answers that he's giving, I think he's going to be involved in the club at some way. I don't want him, I'll be honest, I don't want him to leave the club. I think he's been an absolute breath of fresh air. The fact that he's come in, he's answered the questions, all right, he's pissed off a couple of players, but he's honest. You know, they're now asking him questions that they wouldn't have asked Ollie, because they knew the answer that they were going to get from Ollie. Yep. You know, now he's being honest. I like that. I like the fact that he's being honest. I like the fact that he talks tactics. I like the fact that he's saying players aren't listening to this and aren't listening. He's not telling them direct. He's telling everybody, so that when they don't do it again, everybody knows what the problem is. Everybody knows what the problem is. So I think he's been an absolute breath of fresh air.
I agree with you, Mr. B, and I think going back to what we opened the show with, and that is the Manchester United announcing that they're searching for a second in command to director of football. I'm putting 2 and 2 together, and I'm possibly getting 5 here, but I think Ralph Rangnick is the new director of football, but they have to be very cognizant of the likes of a Murta, the likes of a Fletcher, until they rehouse their structures upstairs, because clearly Ralph is busy with on-field matters at the moment. He's not going to try and take on the mess that is what was upstairs before he gets out of the football management area. And I actually will go a step further. I think we've already got Ten Hag. I honestly think that he's the natural choice for Ralph Rangnick. I don't see Pochettino being the man that he would want to step behind to bring us forward from the baseline that we will have at the end of the season, regardless of whether it's going to be a Champions League qualifying season. We are going to have to start from a certain base.
Just quickly, what clues? Do you see any clues for this, your assessment there? Are you seeing anything? Because I know you read a lot of tabloids and everything and read a lot of information. You're saying about Ten Hag. What clues have you seen? Because I've heard earlier that Poch has fallen out with Messi, and that could be now he's back in the frame again for the Man United job. So because it changes every week, doesn't it? But what clues or what sort of evidence have you seen to back up your claim?
Come on, Rebel, convince us.
Let's look at the club that is Ajax. The way that Ajax go about their business, the way that they build the youth academy, the way that they identify their players, the way that they interact from what used to be Overmars and Van der Sar's position to the manager. He would slot in like a neat jigsaw into a situation working with Ralph. The way of thinking, their style of play, there's so many similarities that the building blocks that Ralph is putting in, it's just too much of an easy choice to ignore what's sitting in front of us.
Great response, great answer. I'm satisfied with that. It makes a lot of sense again to me. You always make it make sense to me, Rebel. You know, I like that. I like that response. Yeah, thank you. I would love Ten Hag as well.
I think that's something that we've all agreed on, that he would be a great step forward for us as a club. But let's just get the Brighton game out the way. Let's get some positive. Listen, I've been negative all week, I must admit, and I've come on and I've spoken to you guys, and I've got my mojo back. So I'm going to change my score prediction for the game tomorrow. I'm going a 2-1 win tomorrow.
Oh, what you said 1-1, didn't you? You said 1-1.
I said 1-1. That was with my depressed head on. I'm now back to being jovial, Mr. B, and I'm looking at a 2-1. I'm looking at a 2-1 tomorrow.
I'm also going to revise my prediction.
Oh,
First of all, I'd just like to say, Solo, big news. Fred is with the group and is available for selection tomorrow. So your team hasn't fallen to Fred being out. That's good news for you. And I'm actually going to say 2-0. Ronaldo breaks his drought with a brace. Bruno Fernandes assisting.
Can I just add what the people in the comments are saying? So Pat Lord is saying, 100% gents, Ralph is the man to sort out this mess. I bet the man could do a Rubik's Cube one-handed. He's that good. Fred in from Maguire says Mark. And just going back to the score, the selection about the manager, Ten Hag all day. Mark Jeremiah, how you doing, Mark? Welcome. He agrees with you. No for Poch, says Mark Edmonds, so he agrees with us. UK Strange says Ten Hag for him as well. Okay, yeah, everyone's on board with this. You've swayed the public as well, not only the people on the panel, Rebel, with your great.
And on Monday,
I'm sure they would have known that already. Yeah,
there has been an article, and this is bad news for you, I'm afraid. They expect Tellez is going to start according to this article based on the squad, and they expect Lindelof to partner Varane.
Well,
I
look,
think that's good news. Yeah.
If that is what's going to happen, the only way that you guys can find that out, come watch the watch along tomorrow with me and Talk. 7:30, it starts. We'll have full commentary, no filter. So Talk's going to be swearing. I will be on my best behavior tomorrow. Sorry, what was he saying, Rebel?
Just actually on the subject of the watch along, as has become an established tradition lately, we have been running some score predictions from our viewers at the start or near the start of the watch along show. So if you want to film a short 30-second video with what you think the match will play out as, get in contact with one of us and we will let you know how to get your video to Talk, the master of the IT structure, TALKMU, and we will feature you tomorrow on the watch along.
Yeah, I'd like to see a few faces there, like Mark Edmond, UK Strange, Brush, Saragon as well. Come on, guys, get your 30-second predictions in,
And
please.
even Mr. Gemini, I know it's Valentine's. I know you're busy. Just send one in.
Yeah.
Send one in. 30 seconds. That's all we need. You can even do it sideways like this, so nobody does. Anybody, you can do it with your back to us, so that we don't even have to see your face. All we want to hear is your voice and the score.
Yeah.
Think about it. Yeah. All you have to do is think about it. Right, guys. It's that time. It's time to say good night.
Great show, guys. Great show. I'm really happy now. I was a bit and ahhing about negativity, but now it's all turned into positivity. Thanks for a little three-way discussion and with the boys as well. So yeah, we're
guys
back.
in the comments. Guys in the comments, thanks for being there. You didn't have to, but you were. If you're still watching, please like, please subscribe. If you're new to the channel, hit that notification bell. This was the Man United Agenda. It was me, Mr. B, OMONDI, and Rebel. See you later, gents.
Good night.